Some analysts now warn that the next major strategic confrontation between the United States and China may not remain limited to Earth, with the moon increasingly emerging as a possible arena for geopolitical rivalry and competition. Questions are also growing over whether Xi Jinping may now be gaining momentum in what many are calling the second global space race, as China pushes aggressively toward lunar bases, moon mining, and permanent space infrastructure. The long-running strategic rivalry between Washington and Beijing is increasingly shifting beyond Earth's atmosphere, with the moon now being viewed by both powers as a potential future military, technological, and economic battleground. China is rapidly accelerating its lunar ambitions and long-term plans for moon exploration, raising concerns among some analysts that the United States could risk falling behind in the emerging race for strategic control in space. From lunar mining projects to moon bases and future energy ambitions linked to helium-3 and other critical resources, China appears determined to move faster than the United States in securing a dominant position on the moon. According to reports by the Diplomat, both China and the United States are now aggressively competing to establish a permanent long-term presence on the moon as part of a rapidly intensifying new space race. The magazine further reported that the competition is no longer focused only on scientific exploration, but also increasingly on the future mining and control of valuable lunar resources and strategic infrastructure. Analysts say this new phase of the space race is now being framed as a much larger contest over future economic dominance, technological leadership, and long-term strategic advantage beyond Earth itself. China has reportedly set an ambitious goal of landing its astronauts on the moon before 2030, positioning Beijing to closely challenge upcoming American lunar missions and expand its influence in space. Meanwhile, NASA is currently targeting a crewed return to the moon around 2027 under the Artemis program, although the mission timeline has continued facing delays and technical setbacks. Why is everyone racing to the moon? Scientists and strategists say the moon contains large reserves of helium-3, water ice, and critical metals that could become essential for future space missions, energy production, and long-term human expansion beyond Earth. Experts believe the water ice discovered on parts of the lunar surface could eventually help sustain permanent human settlements by providing drinking water, oxygen, and even fuel for future deep space exploration missions. The moon's deposits of silicon, titanium, and aluminum are also increasingly being viewed as potentially valuable resources that could support large-scale space construction and infrastructure projects in the future. Military and strategic analysts further warn that control over cislunar space, the vast region between Earth and the moon, could significantly influence future satellite systems, communications networks, and military operations in orbit. Because of its strategic position beyond Earth's orbit, some experts now describe the moon as the ultimate high ground, capable of shaping future geopolitical, technological, and security competition in space. This comparison shows that China and the United States are now racing toward the same destination, but with very different models, timelines, and philosophies. China merged its crewed and uncrewed lunar programs on May 24, accelerating a unified push to the moon. Earlier missions laid the groundwork. Chang'e 1 and Chang'e 2 mapped landing sites in 2007 and 2010. In 2013, Chang'e 3 achieved China's first soft landing. 6 years later, Chang'e 4 made history with the first-ever touchdown on the moon's far side. Chang'e 5 returned the first modern Chinese lunar samples to Earth in 2020. Chang'e 6 completed the first far-side sample return in 2024. A dedicated South Pole survey by Chang'e 7 is planned for 2026. China eyes another crewed landing before 2030. Artemis 1 in 2022 flew an uncrewed Orion around lunar orbit, validating heat shields, communications, and deep space operations. Building on that test, Artemis 2 will send astronauts on a crewed deep space flight around the moon to rehearse life support and mission procedures. Artemis 3, currently targeted for late 2027, is set to conduct the first crewed test of a human landing system and aim for a lunar surface return. Overall, NASA's objective remains clear: land astronauts on the moon again by 2028 and lay groundwork for longer-term exploration. According to the Diplomat, the true winner of the new moon race may ultimately be decided not by who lands there first, but by which country can successfully maintain a long-term and sustainable presence on the lunar surface. The magazine further suggests that future lunar infrastructure, including bases, transport systems, and mining facilities, could eventually determine which power controls access to critical moon resources and strategic positions in space. Analysts also argue that while China currently appears to hold important advantages in areas such as long-term planning and rapid infrastructure expansion, the United States still retains significant strengths in technology, private sector innovation, and overall space capabilities.